Hey, what's going on, everybody? Welcome back to Screen Sanctum. I'm Steve, and today I'm going to give you my Ant-Man and the Wasp Quantumania non-spoiler review. I saw this opening Thursday night last week. Actually, I literally bought tickets. I can't believe I got them because last week it was almost sold out, and I was able to find a ticket day of, and I'm glad I did. I am. I'm very glad I watched this movie opening night. The last few I've missed, actually. I think Thor and Black Panther, Wakanda Forever, I might have seen that weekend, but I really wanted to see this opening night. Ant-Man has been one of my favorite franchises in the MCU, and I'll tell you why. One, I love the MCU and how, huge it's got. Infinity War, Endgame, Age of Ultron, we're getting Kang Dynasty. I like that. Everybody likes that. But I also enjoy these really, really down to earth stories. And a lot of our characters, whether it was Iron Man or Captain America, as the MCU progressed, the stories just got bigger and bigger and bigger. And I loved Ant-Man because we got that friendly neighborhood hero. And we didn't really get that yet from the MCU Spider-Man. As soon as we got Spider-Man, he was bam, Civil War, Infinity War, Endgame. He didn't have time to do his thing. But Ant-Man, he had his first movie and his second movie. They both took place on street level, San Francisco, small villains, and I really, really enjoyed that change of pace. So going into this, once I heard it was Quantumania, I knew it was going to be a little bit different. And they say it was like an Avengers level event, which it kind of was. So the third Ant-Man to me was a bigger movie, and that's not what I wanted from Ant-Man, but I know why we had to do this. But without giving anything away, I think we still got the basic formula of a family movie, just like the first two, only it was a big bad villain in the quantum realm. So I really, really enjoy the Ant-Man series because of that fact that they're smaller stories and they give us time to breathe after an Avengers or a Spider-Man No Way Home or Far From Home. It's like just relax and watch this cool, down to earth film, you know? So that's why I love the Ant-Man franchise. I love the characters, I love the side characters. So talking about Ant-Man and the Wasp Quantumania, what were my thoughts? Basic, non-spoiler. I'll try to go as quick as possible because I can't give anything away. And I'll really just go through by the characters. So one, Cassie. The Cassie in this movie obviously was recast. And I did a video, a short of why I think that happened, and I'll go into it a bit here. She was fine. She's not a bad actor, as people are trying to portray. I think that the Cassie in this movie, they wanted to have the personality more like young Cassie, because the couple of minutes we got of Cassie Lang in Endgame, her personality you could tell was a lot different, even though it was only like a minute or two. She was more mature because she had to grow up without her father for 5 years. She seemed like she's been through a lot. She's more serious, more grounded, I guess. She wasn't very perky, but she wouldn't be really giddy or happy. She just got her dad back. I understand that. But the actress that portrayed her just gave off the aura of being a lot older than she was. Just someone who was on her own for 5 years. So I feel like they recast her with this actress because in this movie, Cassie acts way more boisterous and I don't want to say childlike, but she feels more young. And like I said, her personality to me feels more like young Cassie. And I miss young Cassie. I hope they could get that actress back somehow. She was so good. But Cassie was fine. I enjoyed it. They still had that good father-daughter dynamic like we got in the first two movies. So that was the same, only in the quantum realm. Let's see. We got Hank and Janet. Perfect casting. Obviously, we didn't get Janet in the first movie. We finally found her in the second movie, and she gets much more screen time here. After watching this movie, I don't even need a de-aged Hank and Janet. I think I would watch a movie now with just Hank and Janet Van Dyne because Michelle Pfeiffer and Michael Douglas were wonderful as usual. They portray these characters beautifully. Um, Janet has a bit of a, secret that I'm not going to spoil, but she has something on her mind that she hasn't been saying. But Hank and Janet were one of the best parts of this movie. I just like seeing them on screen together. Their dynamic of husband and wife because they've only been together now since she's come back after being blipped and all that. I don't know, a year or two, I guess. So they've had some time together. But like I said, Jenna has a secret that she just hasn't told anybody. And that's part of the plot of this movie. So I love them. Then we have Scott Lang and Hope. I feel like they have pretty much been set since the end of the first movie. Like, I really enjoy their chemistry. Say what you will about Evangeline Lilly in her personal life, but in the movie, I think she's a very good Wasp. I know there are a lot of actresses that people, I guess, would prefer were the Wasp, but I think her chemistry with Paul Rudd as Ant-Man and the Wasp, I think is perfect. I wouldn't say someone stole scenes. There was a lot of characters in this movie for anyone to actually steal a scene besides who I'll talk about later. But I think they worked well together, and they always have. I think they do a good job of not making it where one of them can't handle a situation and one is always saving the other. But you do have to remember that Hope, Wasp, was trained way before Scott was. So she has way more experience being not a superhero, but training and things of that nature, fighting. So she is basically more advanced in that field. So it would make sense that until Scott Lang mastered being Ant-Man, which he's pretty much at now, that she would be saving him more. But they save each other in all the movies. So there's not like one is more powerful than the other or one is more important than the other. I feel like even though it's technically an Ant-Man movie, it's called Ant-Man and the Wasp. And I think that strength-wise, power-wise, dynamic-wise, they're on the same level. It's an Ant-Man movie first, so you get more Ant-Man. But I think they love playing these characters, and it shows in this movie. It was great. I felt the love between them. Let's see, Kang. No, actually, we won't talk about Kang. We'll talk about MODOK. I don't know much about MODOK. I've seen pictures from the comics, basically, and I didn't watch the animated one with Patton Oswalt, but I saw what he looked like. And I don't know, I was fine with the way he was portrayed in the movie. Maybe it's because I'm not really hooked on these comics like a lot of you are. But what do you want what do you want MODOK to look like? He's a floating head in a little helmet with little arms and legs. That's what they gave us. They gave us a disgusting head in a little helmet with tiny arms and legs. It worked for me. He did what he needed to do in the sense of this movie, and I thought it was fine. It was funny. So that's my thoughts on MODOK, spoilerly, I guess. Who else do we have? We got Cassie, Hope, Hank, Janet, Scott, MODOK, Kang. So here is the part of the movie that it wasn't a twist, and I can't talk too much about it on this review, but I've really enjoyed Jonathan Majors as Kang the Conqueror. I'm glad, we've so far gotten Kang twice already. He Who Remains in Loki, Kang the Conqueror in Quantumania. And when you think about the Infinity Saga, we didn't get Thanos, I think, until 8 movies in, right? And it was done so well. We still felt like he was this huge threat, even though we only saw him in a chair once. We saw him grab the gauntlet once. And then he was just in Infinity War and in Endgame, and that was it. But over the course of 8 to 10 years, it felt like it was earned and worth it because they did it so well. And now we're starting to gear up towards Kang Dynasty. It's the first movie of Phase 5, I believe. And we've already gotten Kang once in Phase 4 and already once in Phase 5. We have 2 years to go. This guy could be in everything. I know a lot of people online don't seem too hype about this, but think about that. We might get Kang in, I don't know, like 5, 6, 7 shows or movies? And we only had Thanos in two? Like, this could be something huge. I don't know, but I feel like I'm excited for that. But getting into the plot, it's your basic Ant-Man plot. Although it's in the quantum realm, it does, like I said, feel like it's grounded and down to earth because the family is the main point of this movie. Um, it's not a spoiler to say they're kind of broken up into groups until they get together, but like there's the Lang family and the Van Dyne family, and then you have this little quantum family that they meet in there. They're all together, some that look like humans, some that look like monsters, but it's like two family dynamics, and both of them are trying to fend for themselves and like self-preservation, basically. And eventually they have to work together. But I think the family dynamic worked throughout this movie. Um, yeah, so, you know, the movie has its beginning, middle, and end of why he's there, what got them there, and the backstory to Janet's secret and why it's so important to the quantum realm and Kang the Conqueror. So there's more to it than someone goes down to the quantum realm and Kang is the bad guy. Like, that's not the plot of the movie. I think it was a well thought out, um, written beginning, an intro to this Kang character. I think it worked fine. Um, the CGI to me was fine. I guess I don't have the eye to go into a movie and pick things apart. Like, nothing took me out of it, you know? If you want to say the backgrounds, maybe a lot of people complain about how the green screen effects look. I couldn't notice it. But if you want to talk about like characters, CG characters, I thought it was beautiful. There were no monsters or alien characters down there that were computer generated that looked bad to me. Everything looked fine. Like I said, I might not have an eye for that, but I go into these movies to be entertained and have some enjoyment, and they always succeed in that for me. Um, the main battle was pretty cool. It wasn't just like punch, 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 it was more thought out. I feel like something happens in the middle of the movie that comes back in the end to kind of help a little bit. And I think that worked as well. Um, Without spoiling it, how can I say? You can believe it. You could believe what happened in the context of the movie, but when you think of the aura and the history of Kang the Conqueror, you might just be like, how did that happen? Um, but when you see the post-credit scenes and you've seen Loki and you know what's coming in the future, then it kind of makes sense of why they ended it this way. I think I actually did a spoiler short about what I would change about this movie, and I can't say that here because those are spoilers. But all in all, I thought this was a very enjoyable movie. I still feel like the Ant-Man trilogy is one of the most enjoyable Marvel trilogies that we have so far. I know most people will put Captain America first, and yeah, probably. The only reason why I'm not a definite is because I personally am not a fan of period pieces. So while I love Winter Soldier and I love Civil War, I don't love the first Avenger, but that doesn't mean I don't acknowledge that it's a very good movie. I just don't like those kinds of movies. So I understand when people put that as like the best trilogy. Spider-Man has a great one. I'll still consider that Sony. And I don't want to kind of judge that right now because there was a lot of non-Spider-Man stuff because he was tossed into this Infinity Saga. I hope he gets another trilogy where it's just Spider-Man by himself, and then we could kind of judge that one. But Ant-Man and Guardians, to me personally, might be top two. I just enjoy all three Ant-Man movies like a little bit more each time, and all in all, I like them all about the same. I have a feeling I'm really gonna love Guardians 3. I like where they're going with it. If I don't enjoy it, it'll be a letdown. But I love the first one. I I liked the second one, and we haven't seen the third one yet. So as of right now, Ant-Man and the Wasp is my favorite trilogy, I would think. But if Doctor Strange gets a third one, I'm sure it will change because that's my favorite character, and I'm probably a little bit biased. But all in all, I don't like rating things. So 1 to 5, 1 to 10, what would I give it? I would give it like a 7 out of 10, a 3 out of 5, 3.5 out of 5. Like the movie doesn't suck, and the movie is not the best thing you'll see in your life. It's a good movie. And that's what a lot of people have to realize when going to see any movie. You go into a movie, there aren't just two options, great and shitty. And a lot of times people come out of these movies and it's the same thing. When the movie drops, you know the reviews that day have to be good. They have to be because they're not allowed to say anything bad yet. So you can't get too high when the movie first drops or the previews. And then, so after the preview, the movie comes out. That's when everyone now is allowed to say how bad it was to them. So you can't get too low. Like, give it a couple of weeks. I don't use Rotten Tomatoes for anything besides the audience score to get a general basis of what would I be saying on average if I have seen this movie. I don't say the audience score is great, so I have to see it. It just gives me some background on general thoughts. And I definitely never use the tomato meter, ever. I don't really care. If Ant-Man and the Wasp got a 99 and I did not want to see it, that wouldn't make me see it. And I know I did want to see Ant-Man and the Wasp: Quantumania, and it got a 45 or 40 right now. That's not going to change my mind to go see this movie. I can never base my opinion of something someone else says. And I think everyone should live their life that way when it comes to movies or media or anything. Like, people don't overreact to Rotten Tomatoes. If there's a movie you like and the critics hate it, fuck them. Go see it. Anyways, I think this was a really long video for a non-spoiler review. I was thinking about doing a spoiler review. I don't know if I could do a 30-minute video, but anyways, Ant-Man and the Wasp: Quantumania. I thoroughly enjoyed it. I really think if you like comic book movies and superheroes and you enjoyed the first two, you will enjoy this. It is both an Avengers level threat movie. Yes, it is. And it is also a grounded, down-to-earth family movie. And that's my thoughts. So if you've seen Quantumania already, let me know what you thought of my basic non-spoiler review. Am I full of shit? Do you agree? What are your thoughts? Let me know in the comments below. Like, subscribe, and hit the notification bell. And again, if you're on Instagram, Twitter, and now Patreon, come find me at Screen Sanctum, and I'll see you on the next video. Peace, guys.